All right, good morning, you guys. So we're going to talk about something that I really enjoy teaching, and it's called simple interest. This is really, really important, so I want you guys to pay attention and take good notes. So when we're talking about interest, you might have heard that term before. There's two different things we're talking about. So the first time is interest is when money is borrowed, interest is charged. So when money is borrowed, interest is charged for the use of that money over a certain period of time. So we're going to give that example. But the one that we like, that we really enjoy, is this kind of interest. When money is saved, interest accrues or builds up since the principal or initial investment. So we're going to talk about this because we always like to make money, right? To accrue money instead of having to be charged money. So let's look at these two examples. And in order to figure out how much interest is going to accrue or be charged, we're going to use this formula here. Okay? This is a simple interest formula that you need to write down. And the formula says I equals P times R times T. So remember, when you have letters that are next to each other in a formula, that means you're multiplying all of those together. And you know, I like little acronyms to help you remember this simple interest formula. And because we like the type of interest that gives us money, we're going to say our I means increase. That means we're gaining something. And so our P is going to be please, R is resist, T is temptation. So we're going to talk about resisting the temptation to spend money, and we're going to talk about learning how to save money. That's why I wanted you to remember this acronym. So let's talk about what these letters mean though. I stands for the total interest received. So we're going to talk about how much interest or how much money you actually accrue. That's what we're looking for, how much money we get. That's going to be our I. Our P is the principal balance. Principal means how much you started with. All right. R means annual interest rate. Annual, member, means yearly. So an interest rate is always in decimal form, and we're going to talk about how to change percent into a decimal. And then T is just time in years. So we're going to remember all this. This is really important that you know what these letters stand for. So let me give you an example, and I'm going to use my daughter for an example. Her name is Hosanna. So I'm going to say, Hosanna invested $5,000 in a savings account. Okay, so basically we gave her $5,000 and we wanted her to go put it into a savings account. And when she put it in that savings account, she had an annual interest rate of 7% for 5 years. 7%. So that means she would accrue interest at 7% for 5 years. So the question is, how much money did she earn in interest, and what is the total value of her savings account at this point? So we're going to go to our simple interest formula. And so we're looking for the amount of interest. Say it says how much money did she earn? So how much interest did she earn? That's what we're looking for. So we're going to put I. So I equals P, which is her principal amount. So how much did she start with? Well, she started with $5,000. So we're going to put 5,000 times our R. R means our rate, our percentage rate. Well, it says that she's going to get 7%. But remember, you have to change that percent into a decimal. So let's think about how we're going to do that. Remember, when we're changing something into a decimal, this 7% is out of 100. So really, we're taking 7 and we're dividing it by 100. So let's think about how we're going to do that. We're going to take 100 and divide it into 7. Well, we know that any whole number has a decimal after that. So let's go ahead and move our decimal point up here. And now 100 can't go into 70, but it can go into 700. So we had to add 2 zeros here, correct? So 100 doesn't go into 70. It doesn't go into 7. It doesn't go into 70, but it does go into 700 7 times, right? So we know that 7 divided by 100 equals 0.07 or 7 hundredths, correct? So that's how we change it into our decimal. You can just now you could simply type that into the calculator. You could say, well, 7 divided by 100. When you see 7%, you just say, well, 7 divided by 100, and you're going to get this. But I want you to know how you get this. So this is what you would get in the calculator. But anyway, so we took P, which was 5,000, times our rate, which was 7 hundredths, times time. Well, it says over 5 years. So we're going to put our 5 there. Simply put 5. Now all we're going to do here is we're going to get our calculator, and I'm going to actually show you how to input this in the calculator. So many of you are using a phone, but anyway, it's going to be the same thing. So you're going to take 5,000 times 0.07 or 7 hundredths, right, times 5. And you're going to get equals. So this amount right here, $1,750, is how much interest accrued for her, how much money over the 5 years she received just by simply putting that $5,000 in the bank. So she accrued $1,750 in interest, correct? That was our question. How much money did she earn in interest? Now, what is the total value of her savings account at this point? Well, now we're going to take this interest that she accrued and we're going to add it to the principal that she started with. So she started with 5,000, right? And we added the interest that she accrued, that she earned, right? Just by simply leaving that money in the bank. And now her bank account, because she didn't touch it, has $6,750 after 5 years. So that's pretty good, right? Okay, so that's the good type of interest when you're accruing interest. But again, now we're going to talk about interest that you actually are charged. So remember, when money is borrowed, interest is charged for the use of that money over a certain period of time. So let's look at another example. Let's look at this one. To buy a computer, Judah, that's my other son. That's my son, Judah. So to buy a computer, Judah borrowed $3,000 at 9% interest for 4 years. So let's think about this for a second. So Judah goes in to buy a computer, and the computer was $3,000. He doesn't have $3,000, so he borrowed it from the bank. And they said, okay, well, if we give you this $3,000, we're going to charge you 9% interest for 4 years. So how much money did he have to pay back? Meaning after the 4 years, how much money did he actually pay for that computer? Well, we're going to use our same formula. Remember, interest equals, please resist temptation, meaning please do not try to borrow money because you're going to end up paying more for that computer than it was worth. Okay, so I equals PRT. So we're looking for how much money did he have to pay back. Basically, we're looking at how much interest he accrued. So we're looking for our I again. So I equals P, which is our principal. So we have 3,000 times our rate. Okay, now if I were to put this in the calculator or we were to divide it like I taught you before, we will get 9% becomes it becomes 9 hundredths, right? Times 4 years, because that's our time, right? 4 years. All we're going to do is simply put that in our calculator, and we're going to find out how much money he actually paid for this. So 3,000 times 9 hundredths times 4. Okay, so he actually didn't make a smart investment here, because now he has to pay $1,080 more for that computer. So Judah had to pay back $3,000 in principal, right? And plus he had to pay back $1,080 in interest for a total of $4,080 $80. So that $3,000 computer actually ended up being $4,080 for him. So we understand now